My parents gave my sister a luxury villa and left me a parking lot. They joked I could sleep under the stars until I turned it into a business they wanted a piece of. Man, I should have seen this dinner coming from a mile away. My parents only invite me over when they've got an agenda, usually to remind me of how I've let them down. But like a fool, I went anyway, clinging to that tiny hope that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. See, I work as a mechanic, nothing too glamorous, but I'm damn good at it. I fix cars, I get paid, and I keep to myself. Meanwhile, my sister Emily is their golden child. She's never had to clock in a single day of real work. Seriously, she could torch their house, and they'd still find a way to blame me. So, I walk in, and there's Emily, already sipping wine like she owns the joint. Dad's behind his newspaper at the table, and Mom's in the kitchen acting busy so she can avoid eye contact with me. Wow, Emily smirks, you actually showed up. Took the night off from changing tires? I just ignore her and sit down. Mom had said it was important. Dad finally drops the newspaper and says, we've decided to divide our assets. Emily's face lights up like Times Square, she knows she's about to hit the jackpot. Mom beams at her, we're giving you the beach house, sweetheart. Emily gasps in that fake surprise way, just like she's won an Oscar. Oh my God, the one in Maine? Mom nods, yes, honey, it's all yours now. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, maybe there's a crumb left for me. Dad looks at me with this flat expression, and you, Logan, we're giving you the parking lot. Silence. I blink, waiting for the punchline. The what? I ask. The old lot on 8th Street, Mom chimes in, waving her hand like she's doing me some massive favor. It's land, you can figure something out. Emily bursts out laughing, oh my God, that's hilarious. She turns to me, smirking, well, at least you'll have a place to sleep under the stars. Dad chuckles, that lot's been empty for years, but hey, maybe you can open a lemonade stand or something. Mom sighs, Logan, you always say you want to build something for yourself. Now's your chance. I stare at them, realizing this isn't a twisted version of kindness, it's an insult, plain and simple. A memory flashes, 16-year-old me, walking in from my first auto shop gig, covered in grease but so damn proud of my first paycheck. Emily was lounging on the couch, whining about wanting a new car for her birthday. Dad didn't even look at me. You're going to smell like oil for the rest of your life, huh? He said. Mom just shook her head, well, at least he's useful. Maybe one day he'll fix your car for free, Emily. But of course, she never had to worry, they bought her a brand spanking new BMW that same week. Fast forward to now, and nothing's changed. I take a slow breath and push back from the table. You're serious? I ask. Dad shrugs, as if to say, you should be grateful we're giving you anything. Emily snickers, maybe one day you'll make enough to buy real property. They crack up like it's the funniest joke in the universe. I grip the chair's edge so hard my knuckles turn white, but I don't yell or argue. I just nod and say, okay. Mom frowns, that's it? No, thank you? I stand up, look her in the eye, and say, oh, I'll make something of it. And when I do, don't come knocking. Emily rolls her eyes, sure, Logan. Can't wait to see what you do with a slab of concrete. Dad shakes his head, muttering about me being so dramatic. I walk out without another word, my mind made up. If they thought they could humiliate me, they had another thing coming. I was gonna turn that so-called worthless parking lot into something they'd never see coming, and when I did, they'd regret every single word. Next morning, I filed for permits to host food trucks because if this was just a slab of concrete, I'd make sure it was a gold mine. Within a week, I had agreements with some of the best local food trucks, tacos, burgers, coffee, you name it. I even got some overpriced vegan stuff for the hipsters. I took out a small loan, not from some bank, but from my boss at the auto shop, a guy who actually gets what hard work means. I used it to set up lights, seating, music, and banners to turn the place into something real. 3 weeks later, that so-called useless parking lot was now a buzzing food court with live music and lines around the block. And that's when the real fun started. About a month in, after the place went viral on social media, I saw her, my mom, showing up in her fancy coat, looking around like she'd stepped into some dump. I was checking inventory when she approached. So this is what you've done? She asked. She scrunched up her nose at the crowd munching away on their meals, clearly not impressed. I didn't even bother glancing her way and said, yeah, well, you gave me trash, so I made it work. She let out a sharp sigh, still unimpressed, and said, this isn't a real business, it's just a phase, right? I laughed and replied, A phase that's making more money than Emily's influencer gig. Her face did a little twitch, and, as if on cue, Emily rounded the corner. She froze, her usual smug look fading as she took in the bustling scene. What on earth? She snapped. You turned this into some kind of flea market? I grinned. It's called a successful business. She scoffed and said, this is a joke. This isn't real money. I gestured around the busy venue. Yeah? Then why are hundreds of people spending their fake money here every night? A few customers even clapped. Emily's face turned beet red. Mom, say something, she whined. Mom cleared her throat and said, Logan, we're just concerned this doesn't seem stable. I raised an eyebrow. Stable, like the fully furnished beach house you handed Emily for free? Emily jumped in quickly, you can't sell this, it's family property. I let out a short laugh. Oh, now it's family property. That's funny because when you were all laughing at me, I didn't hear family in the conversation. Her jaw clenched as she snapped, this isn't fair. You didn't earn this. I turned to face her slowly, you're seriously saying that to me? She crossed her arms, but her confidence began to waver. I'm just saying, selling it would be betraying the family. I tilted my head, when you dumped it on me as a joke, that wasn't betrayal. Mom looked like she was searching for what to say, then finally came out with, well, if this business is doing so well, maybe we should discuss a partnership. I stared at her for a second, then burst out laughing so loud some customers turned to see. You're kidding, right? You all ignored and humiliated me, gave me nothing, and now you want a piece? Emily crossed her arms and said, it's family money now. I took a step forward, looked her dead in the eye, and said, you already got your share. Live with it. Then, without another word, I turned on my heel and walked back into my business, leaving them just standing there like statues. They thought they could break me, but I was only just getting started. It all began with a phone call. I was chilling in my office, which was actually a small, converted shipping container at the edge of my bustling food truck business, when my phone buzzed. It was Mom. I stared at the screen for a second, then declined the call. A minute later, she called again, and then again. I smirked, knowing they needed something. By this point, my food truck park was the hottest spot in town. We had live music, weekend events, VIP sections, and influencers lining up just to get in. I was raking in more cash in a month than I used to in a year at the auto shop. And suddenly, my family, who once laughed in my face, wouldn't stop calling. A few days later, I was out at the lot overseeing a delivery when I heard a voice that made my skin crawl. Logan, she said. I turned around and saw Emily. She stood there, arms crossed, but this time, she didn't look smug, she looked desperate. I raised an eyebrow. Wow, you actually came to the lot. Did your car break down? She exhaled sharply, I need to talk to you. I checked my watch, I've got 5 minutes, make it count. Her jaw clenched, but she swallowed her pride, I need to sell the beach house. I blinked, the same beach house you gloated about? She ignored that, the market is trash right now, and I need money fast. I smirked, let me guess, too many luxury vacations, designer bags, and overpriced lattes? She stiffened, it's complicated, she muttered. Just say you'll help. I leaned against a food truck, crossing my arms, help how? She hesitated, I need $200,000 to cover debts before I can even list it. I whistled, oh man, that's rough. I turned back to my delivery and waved over the driver. Anyway, good luck with that. She grabbed my arm, are you serious? You have the money. I pulled away, oh, now my business is real enough for you to beg for a loan? Her face turned red, Logan, we're family, I laughed, funny. Last time we talked, you told me I was a joke. Where's all that energy now? She opened her mouth, then closed it. I'll pay you back, she finally said, voice quieter, please. I stared at her for a long moment, then leaned in and said, no. Her eyes widened, no? I smiled, that's right. The same way you and Mom and Dad said no when I needed support, the same way you all laughed in my face. So no, Emily, I won't bail you out. She took a step back, genuinely shocked. And then her rage kicked in. Are you serious? You're just going to let me fail? I shrugged, that's not my problem. And I walked away. But it wasn't over. A week later, I pulled into my lot and there they were, my parents, just standing there. Mom looked like she was about to explode, and Dad seemed like he could fall asleep any second. Logan, Mom started, clearly on a mission, we need to chat. I let out a big sigh. Oh great, let me guess. Emily stormed off crying to you guys, and now you're here to knock some sense into me, right? Mom tightened her lips because, of course, this was serious. Dad chimed in, finally awake, we need your help, son. I raised my eyebrows. Son, huh? Guess I'm back in the family club now, Mom sighed, your father's business isn't doing well. We're in financial trouble. I almost laughed. Really? I said, faking surprise. You mean the family that built Emily a literal mansion and dropped a chunk of concrete in my lap is having money problems? Shocked, I tell you. Mom flared up, don't be childish, Logan. Childish? Like laughing in someone's face when they're down? Sound familiar? Dad groaned, we don't need a lecture, we need a loan. Ah, there it was, the golden ask. I rubbed my chin like I was thinking. How much? $500,000, Mom swallowed hard. I actually laughed. No way, $500K? Seriously? Dad looked dead tired but nodded. You're successful now. You can swing it. I crossed my arms, oh, so now I'm successful, huh? Mom snapped back, don't be a brat, Logan. We're your family. I let that hang for a second before smirking. Let me tell you something about family, I said, stepping closer. Family doesn't laugh at your struggles. Another step. Family doesn't treat you like you don't matter. And one more. And family sure doesn't only show up when they want something. Mom's face went pale. Dad mumbled, Logan, please. I shook my head, you made your choices. I pointed to my world, my success, my empire. I made mine too. I took a step back. I'm not giving you a cent, Mom gasped, calling me ungrateful, but I just held up my hand, we're done here. I turned to go, and Dad called out, Logan, if you walk away. I paused, looked back. If I walk away? Like you did to me? Silence. Thought so, and I left them standing there. Later, I realized my sweet revenge wasn't just saying no. It was making sure they watched me succeed. I thought that was the end. Made it clear, no money, no help, no second chances. But people like my parents and Emily don't take no for an answer. Sure enough, a few days later, the backlash hit. It started small, bad reviews online. I picked up my phone to see the first one-star review slagging off my place as overrated and overpriced. Another called me rude. And another trashed me as a selfish jerk who's all about me. I chuckled, nice try, Mom. She was always the queen of playing the victim, kick you under the bus, then cry about it. But they weren't done. A city inspector showed up, looking embarrassed. Anonymous complaint, he said. Someone says your permits might not be right. I smirked, middle-aged woman and her spoiled kid, right? He shrugged, can't say, but I bet you know. I knew exactly who. Then complaints about my seating, noise levels, food safety, they wanted me buried in legal problems, drove in fines, hoping to squash my business. But breaking me wasn't that easy. I fought back. Lawyer? Check. Every permit, every license, rechecked until even the inspector said, nope, all good. Then I upped my game. If they wanted to trash my rep, I'd drown them out with positivity. Special events, giveaways, live music, whole works. Invited local influencers for VIP nights. Expanding too, rented extra space, opened an outdoor beer garden, teamed with artists for weekend markets. Turned their petty sabotage into free press, and business boomed. Then Emily made her biggest mistake. On a buzzing Saturday night, filled with music, laughter, and tacos, Emily showed up drunk. Her hair was a mess, mascara streaking down her face, designer dress wrinkled, like she'd been sobbing in her car. There she was, shouting at the entrance, this place is a joke. Mom rushed after her, trying to stop her, but Emily pulled away. I can't believe you think. You think you're all high and mighty, she yelled, her voice echoing through the room. Look at you, playing businessman when you're really just a mechanic. A few folks around us turned and started recording with their phones. I just grinned. Perfect. I walked over to her, staying calm. Emily, just leave, I said quietly. She got closer, still fuming. You think you're a big shot now, huh? Better than us? I chuckled. I don't need to think it, I know it. Her face twisted with anger. You're nothing, nothing, she shouted, and then out of nowhere, splash. I didn't see it coming. She grabbed a drink off some random table and hurled it at me. Suddenly, I'm drenched in beer, and everything went silent. Seconds later, 2 of my security guys tackled her to the ground, and the crowd gasped and whispered. Let her go, Mom shouted. She's your sister. I wiped my shirt and turned to my head of security. Call the cops, I instructed. Emily's eyes widened. What? No. Logan, don't. She pleaded. I crouched down and whispered, actions have consequences. 10 minutes later, flashing blue and red lights filled the lot. Mom was losing it. You're ruining the family name. She shrieked. I just laughed. Lady, you did that all by yourself. Emily was in the back of the cop car, crying her eyes out, begging. She looked just like I did years ago when they made a fool of me, but unlike them, I didn't care. Mom turned to me, her voice shaky. This is your sister. Do something. I crossed my arms. Oh, like how you did something when you left me with nothing and laughed at me? She had no answer. I turned and headed back to my customers. Oh. I called over my shoulder, hope the beach house is worth it. And then I went back to running my thriving business. They wanted to see me fail, but now they had front row seats to my success. After Emily's little meltdown and being taken away by the cops, I thought they'd get the hint. Nope. A week later, Mom and Dad showed up at my business again, looking desperate this time. They weren't smug or laughing, they looked out of place. I was in the middle of a meeting when I saw them awkwardly hanging by the entrance. For years, I was the one feeling small, never being enough for them, but not anymore. I wrapped up my meeting, let them wait a bit longer, then finally walked over with my arms crossed. You're back, I said, keeping it casual. Let me guess, Emily sent you because she's too embarrassed to come herself? Dad cleared his throat. We need to talk, Logan. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, like the talk we had when you laughed at me and gave me a piece of junk, while you handed Emily a mansion? Mom pursed her lips. This isn't about the past, I chuckled. Oh, it's all about the past because if you hadn't treated me like dirt, you wouldn't be here begging for help. Her eye twitched, but she tried to stay calm. We're in trouble. Yeah, I already knew. Emily maxed out her credit cards to keep up her influencer lifestyle. Her beach house was about to be foreclosed because she refinanced it 3 times, and Dad's business was sinking thanks to the economy tanking and his partners bailing. They were going under, and I was their only hope. Dad sighed, Logan, we're family, and family helps each other. I burst out laughing. That's rich. You didn't care about family when you screwed me over. Now that you're broke, suddenly it's all about family? Mom tensed up. You have more than enough to help us. Why are you being so spiteful? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Spiteful? Oh no, spiteful would be me buying your house just to kick you out. Their eyes widened, Dad's face fell. You wouldn't. I smirked. Wouldn't I? Because guess what, I've been waiting for this moment. While you all were busy drowning in debt, I made a backup plan. I've been buying property, expanding, and yep, I bought your house. The bank listed it for sale, and I bought it. Mom's face went pale. No, you're lying. I pulled out my phone, scrolled, and showed them the email confirmation. Logan Reed, new property purchase confirmed. Dad's hands shook. You bought our house? He croaked. I tilted my head. You mean the house you said wasn't my home anymore? The one where you let Emily treat me like trash? Mom grabbed my arm. Please, Logan, we'll do anything, just don't take her home. I pulled away. Now you know what it feels like to have something ripped away. She started crying, but I didn't care. Then, the final blow, I looked between them, took a deep breath. You know what? I said slowly. I'm not heartless. I'll give you the house, Mom gasped. You will? Dad let out a relieved sigh. I smirked. Sure, on one condition. They both nodded eagerly. Anything. I took out a pen and paper from. I had this contract all ready to go, tucked right in my pocket. I'll let you live here, I told them, but it's my house now and you'll have to pay rent every month, right on time. My mom's jaw practically hit the floor. Logan, you can't be serious, she gasped. I just leaned in closer and said, oh, I'm very serious. My dad looked like he was trying to swallow a rock. How much? He asked, and I told him. It was a big number, definitely hitting the high end of the market rate. They were going to feel it, month after month. Mom's face twisted up like she couldn't believe it. You're charging us to live in our own home? She snapped. I couldn't help but grin a little. No, I replied, I'm charging you to live in my home. There was silence for a moment. My dad let out this long sigh. We don't have a choice, do we? He said. I shrugged and said, of course you do. There are plenty of cheap motels around here. Mom shot me this intense glare, but she knew they were out of options. With shaky hands, Dad finally signed the contract. Mom grabbed the pen so hard, I thought she might rip the paper apart. Once they were done, I took the contract, folded it all nice and neat, and slipped it back in my pocket. "Pleasure doing business with you," I said as I turned to leave. Behind me, Dad leaned against the wall rubbing his temples, and Mom was wiping away tears, looking totally humiliated. They'd spent years making fun of me, treating me like I was worthless. Now, I own their house, their future, everything. I walked back into my office with a smile on my face. They thought I'd be a nobody, but now I'm the one who has it all, and they've got nothing. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.